Welcome everyone to our Return to Moria survival guide. We have a lot to talk about today because we're basically going to be covering some of the major Title II updates that have been brought to Return to Moria because quite a few things have changed, and I would be remiss not to talk about not all of them, the ones that are pretty big. The very first being that the devs have actually introduced a sandbox mode, and that differs from the campaign because it follows like a story. Like obviously in the campaign mode, we are following a story of escaping from Moria, and we are discovering like different things. Sandbox mode is very much just about surviving, basically building your base, surviving the different raids, and exploring and all of that. And Sandbox mode doesn't have the story, but it does have more biomes that they have made specifically for Sandbox. And how it kind of works is that in regular campaign mode, sometimes there will be like tunnels that we can open up and explore, and there's usually like ore and stuff in there. So in sandbox mode, those still exist, but they're a little bit smaller. Like sometimes in campaign mode, we might find like an area that has like a really big, like it's like tunnel after tunnel, area after area before we actually progress the next biome, if you will, the next region. Where in sandbox, they're not going to have the different kind of areas be quite so expansive. They're not going to be super long, but they are introducing other things like vertical exploration, I guess, which is very interesting, as well as obviously, like I said, different biomes for you to experience. And they also have new items in sandbox mode that you won't find in campaign mode, but you can bring those items from sandbox to campaign if you bring your dwarf from your sandbox save file to your campaign save file. So that's going to be interesting. We'll definitely probably be exploring that once we get through the story, once we get through the campaign mode of Return to Moria, to see what that's all about. But pretty cool for that, for those who have maybe either beat the game or they're looking for something that isn't quite so story focused. That mode is now available. Now, another kind of major difference, which you can see right here, is the map. They have actually color coded some of this. So if we kind of go to, I don't know if I can show it here because it's like I'm only here. So, but if we go to, I guess we'll just kind of go to. We'll go here, maybe that might change it, but they have color coded now so that there's like different colors or like different regions, basically, just to make it a little bit easier for you to kind of figure out where you are on the map, and then which like areas lead to new regions. So it's a little bit different like that. So I guess we're still in the same region. Of course we are. Let's see if maybe if we get out of here we can actually get a different color, but so that's entirely different now, and they've also kind of like messed, I guess, with like how the grid works and all that, which is nice. And they've also renamed some of the regions. So one of the original name was Cruel Krahadras is now a different name. So you have to kind of like, if you don't see that anymore, that's why. And then they also changed Dwarodalf apparently to the upper halls, which is kind of like where we're here right now. You can see we're in the upper city. It used to be called Dwarodalf, so that's a little bit different now. Yeah, so it's still the same for that. But basically, this is still the same color too. But that's because I'm in this region. But I guess if you take a look at like these little openings here, these are different colors because they technically go into like different regions. So that's how they've changed the map, and I kind of like it. It is a little bit easier to read. So I certainly don't mind that at all. So besides the map changes, they have also introduced new difficulty. If we press the pause menu, you can see right here there are different settings. So you have your story here, which is obviously like the easiest one. You have solo for people who are playing for a solo dwarf, which I'll probably switch to because that just makes sense. Normal mode, which is what the default mode was. This is great for like 2 to 4 players, they said. So obviously if you're playing with a group, go normal at the very least if you want. And then they have hard, obviously for those who want a more challenging experience, but you also can completely customize your different, difficulty for different aspects as well. We'll just quick switch to solo for now, since that's what we are playing as. So that's a little bit nicer for us, and I am really grateful they did that because not everybody is playing with a bunch of friends. So amazing, love that. The other kind of thing that they have done is building. They've completely kind of like revamped, I guess, building and how it snaps together. They've also completely changed like the icons of these like different things, updated them, and even graphics in general have, I feel, have sharpened a little bit. Like everything's a little bit tighter, better contrast, just better textures as well. So they have all like these new items that you can make as well. They have like these column bases. They have scaffolding, more scaffolding options. They have stairs, different stairs that you can make, and then obviously walls. They made it so that like multi levels are a little bit more stable when you're making them. So for those who wanted to build like really tall bases, hopefully that's a little bit easier for you. And then to add on top of this, they've also added a bunch of new decorations. You can see all of these new decorative lightings, a bunch of furniture like bookcases and chairs and tables, some vases, and then rugs, which I love. I always love putting some rugs around, and banners too, so you guys can decorate your bases as needed, as wanted. All that. So that's great. And they've also switched out how raids work. So raids, there's like kind of like two. There's like a siege, which is when the orcs and whatnot attack your base, and then there's raids, which can occur kind of like when you're out and about, and like the little danger meter starts to increase when you make a lot of noise, or you find a lot of orcs, and that can result in a raid. So they've kind of switched that up a little bit. I guess raids are a little bit more common now, but they don't last as long. There are not going to be quite as many orcs that show up, and obviously that's also scaled to the difficulty that you have selected. So that's kind of like a little bit thing that's a little different now, and they're just kind of testing to see, if that's a challenging enough experience without being, overwhelming, I think is what they're kind of trying to go for. So, and the other kind of half of that is the danger meter. And obviously when the danger meter gets filled up, that's when you have a chance of a raid occurring, or really the raid actually occurs, to be honest. The danger meter now, it goes down, but like before, when you went to sleep, the danger meter would like reset. That's not the case anymore. Now it will decrease over time. So it'll do that, but it won't reset if you sleep. So you're gonna have to. It's a little bit easier to trigger a raid, basically, unless you're obviously quiet and careful and keep to yourself. But yeah. Another great thing, which I am so grateful for, is that they have actually brought actual pause. So if I pause this, we are actually paused. Now, this only works for offline mode. So if you're online and playing solo, you're still going to experience, like, this is still going to be active technically. But if you are playing offline mode, this is going to be paused now. So that's amazing. Love that, because I'm tired of having to log out just to, like, go take the dog out or whatever. So that is a great addition. I've been waiting for that. Very excited. And then the last thing that I really wanted to make a note of, because a viewer actually made me aware of this before I jumped in post update. Some of the Masterwork items now have durability. So for example, our shield wall here that I love so much, it is now it can break, which is really sad, because that's the whole point of at least that's what I thought the whole point of the Masterwork item was, is that this wouldn't break, so you could just like use it. Otherwise it's just like a normal shield. So I'm not too sure if I'm going to be using this as much, because it can break now, which is totally lame. Quarry Master also has durability. It still does really great job of, like, breaking through ore really quickly, but it does have a durability on it now as well. So kind of keep an eye on some of the Masterwork items, because they can break now. That said, though, you can still repair them. You can just go to your typical repair smithy, and you just use metal scraps to still repair it. So that's nice. That doesn't require like something super expensive to repair it. But Masterwork items, I feel like that's kind of like a major nerf for some of them. Kind of lame. Don't know if the devs will change that in the future. We'll keep an eye on it, but that is the case. So if you are using shield wall, especially, just be aware that it can break. So maybe have another shield on you just in case. Totally lame, hate it. But anyway, those are some of the major updates. I will put a link in the description that links out to the actual patch notes, so you guys can read all the new changes that have come to Return to Moria, because there's a lot. It was a very big update. Some of them loving, some of them not loving. But let me know what you guys are thinking. If there's some updates that you are really excited for, if there's some that you're still waiting for, if there's some that you absolutely hate, let me know. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, keep surviving and keep thriving.